Day 1224 of the Ukrainian War Map, also known as the Russo-Ukrainian War. Juzzie here, and today is another update as I take a simplified and down-to-earth approach to some of the most important happenings on the ground in Ukraine. So starting off, we'll take a look at those Russian losses, as currently Russia sits on more than 1,020,000 military personnel losses, representing an additional 970 in the past day. Then as for hardware, 3 tanks, 6 APVs, 36 artillery, and a jet that we should likely see on tomorrow's stats update. Because, well, headed to the map with another Russian Sukhoi Su-34 jet lost, and confirmed by the Russian Ministry of Defense just hours ago, where an Su-34 flying all the way up in Nizhny, not so good, crashed, reportedly due to a combination of pilot training error and mechanical failures. Quite the jackpot, with both pilots ejecting. It's a 2-seater aircraft. One pilot hospitalized on account of a leg injury. Now headed to multiple regions throughout Russia, where Russian telegram channels reported hundreds of incoming drones over Voronezh, Rostov, Saratov, Lipetsk, Bryansk, and others. But most notably was these sweeping series of aerial attacks into Russian-occupied Luhansk and Donetsk. Take Luhansk, for instance, where 2 separate but nearby locations were targeted: an oil depot and a key logistics hub. The first strike hit the oil depot, sending fireballs and thick smoke towering over the city as explosions rocked the area. Shortly after, Ukrainian drones targeted a major logistics hub in the same part of Luhansk. And yet, remarkably, even with all of the destruction on key Russian military assets, the real headline wasn't really about what was hit, but rather what it was hit by, as the overnight strikes mark the first large-scale wave of cruise missiles launched by Ukraine in many months, and specifically reported as a combination of homegrown Ukrainian missiles and Storm Shadows and the traditional UAVs. But also, given some of the camera snaps near to the site, one such aerial threat for Russia may have been the little-known of Ukrainian Porshan 2 cruise missile that contains a 480 kilo or 1,000 pound high-explosive fragmentation warhead payload. And with a design like this, it's also fair to suggest that the overnight salvo could indeed have included one of Ukraine's hybrid missile drone types as well, possibly several, holding a very similar design when viewed from a distance. There was also a lot of talk or speculation about German missile usage, but it's more likely a case of how Germany had moved to funding projects specifically related to Ukraine's indigenous missile manufacturing. But whatever the case may be, it's a big deal because it's only been a few times now that we've seen such a wide-scale usage of Ukrainian-developed missiles and hybrid missile drones that have been deployed against Russian targets. Earlier this year, we saw the occasional usage of these jet-propelled platforms against a few unlucky Russian oil depots and oil refineries. Prior to that, who could forget the Palantia hybrid drone missile strike against Toropets in Russia in the Tver Oblast, with that hybrid missile drone destroying Russia's largest ammunition depot of its kind, the 107th GRAU, making for an explosion that ranks among one of the largest and most powerful explosions of the past 2 decades. And this is not just for Russia, but of any armed conflict. And then to fast forward to now, we're seeing a slow trickle in of these next-gen platforms deployed by the armed forces of Ukraine, which are faster, stealthier, and significantly more problematic for Russian anti-air platforms to defend against, with serialized production already commenced for multiple different variants of the turbojet propulsion platforms. It's not going to get any easier for Russia. But the overnight attack wasn't over, not at all, with more reports emerging that further Ukrainian missile strikes had struck the headquarters of Russia's 8th Combined Arms Army in Donetsk, and doing so exposing glaring holes in Russia's vaunted air defense network. Following that, Juzzie, a Russian-occupied city in the Donetsk Oblast, was hit by at least 6 Ukrainian strikes, reportedly using Storm Shadow cruise missiles. The attack targeted the railway station, another key logistics hub, and caused multiple explosions, possibly hitting ammunition stores as well. But still not done. Further away on the map, with various various reports of Ukrainian aerial objects en route to Astrakhan, 800 kilometers from Ukraine, targeting the Kapustin Yar launch base for Oreshnik intermediate range ballistic missiles. This marks the first air raid alert in the region since the war began. Then what would a night be like this without targeting roasting Rostov? With Russian air defense activated and multiple explosions heard throughout the region. And then on top of that, somewhere far, far away, located near Tatarstan in Izhevsk, as the local electromechanical plant known for manufacturing Russian Tor M2 air defense systems was hit by a Ukrainian AN-196 UAV, several, which is the traditional and well-performing combustion engine Luti drone, as it's known. This facility was already on fire and likely struck by previous AN-196 drones, and for a location coming in at a distance of over 1,300 kilometers inside of Russia from the Ukrainian border. Then if you thought that was enough, down to Crimea, where occupiers were in complete panic, posting this and stealing all of my red arrows in the process, as Ukrainian drones operated in this airspace and destroying a Pantsir S-1 air defense system, several radar stations as well, and a Russian Su-30 fighter jet overnight, as Ukraine's intelligence directorate has since reported on, courtesy of the homegrown UJ-26 bomber drone too, aka the Beaver, which we're seeing a lot more of these days. So, all up, what a night, with command centers in flames and logistics burning, planes falling out of the sky, oil depots in flames, strategic facilities hit, and more. Moscow's war machine just took another major punch to the gut. Now, finally getting around to the Ukrainian map with a mixed number of updates to report on today, starting off with outcomes in the Mirnohrad region, which is essentially the location between Pokrovsk and Konstantinivka, and where Russian forces advanced northwest of the main highway beyond Malinivka, followed by, at the same location, but just south of the highway, where the AFU cleared up the front and were said to have liberated around the Myrylyabivka settlement area, then headed further down the map where it was the untoward case of reports on the Russian forces crossing the Vovcha River between Donetsk and Dnipropetrovsk at or around the town of Dachne, just north of the Vovcha River. The village of Dachne holds strategic significance as it protects the Kharkova-Zaporizhia route, a key logistical element for Ukraine's defense forces, where Russian troops aim to establish control over this location to disrupt those adversarial movements. As of now, it's said to be a fluid situation, with Ukrainian command not yet confirming the status of the region, but nonetheless, it's a serious development that could, over time, redraw some of these front lines in the conflict. It all now comes down to the AFU using the opportunity to bolster this front section and keep a lid on this corner pocket of Dnipropetrovsk. Then also on the map, and after many months of silence, Ukraine has brought the Bayraktar TB2 drone back to the battle. Recent footage released by the Ukrainian Navy shows the TB2 striking and destroying a Russian military boat in a river of Kherson with a precision strike, a MAM-L munition. The Bayraktar brought much fanfare to the beginning of this war, quickly becoming a symbol of Ukraine's resistance, thanks to its successful strikes on Russian convoys and the like. But as time progressed, they had to take a back seat as they became too vulnerable to attacks in the air. Unlike traditional military jet aircraft that can rely on speed, altitude, and evasive maneuvers, the TB2 is slower and flies lower, with far fewer options for dodging advanced air defenses. But coming back into the fray now suggests Ukraine is adapting the platform, or adapting the airspace, which continues to show signs that Russian air defenses are thinning out, making these darling strikes possible once again. Then looking around the map, as the AFU struck a 2-for-1 deal when Russian troops took on the incredibly risky approach of salvaging an abandoned Mr. S. That's right, and thank our lucky stars, another one of these rare and spotted Mr. S self-propelled howitzers, as Russians attempted to retrieve the SPG with a large military truck, but the tree line could not, or would not, provide the necessary cover needed to save this collectively enormous target, leading to a catastrophic detonation that followed suit. There's clearly a complete failure to provide Russian troopers with sufficient training and proper understanding of risk profiles as they attempt to salvage their gear, compounded by a severe lack of actionable intelligence to confirm that the skies are clear or the conditions are safe for such reckless salvaging endeavors. Then headed across direct to a little bit of Ukrainian hardware news, as Ukraine's Minister of Digital Transformation, Fedorov, excitedly reported on an update that Ukrainian interceptors have made a breakthrough. He was not ready to get into the details, but stated that if these products are scaled up, then the situation with defense against Russian Shahed drones may change the defense landscape radically. One such expected update here would be the integration of artificially intelligent sensor fusion that allows the locally made air defense drones to have a remarkably high success rate in interceptions. More likely the case than not is what's going on here. Then as for some other high-flying updates, and to something for the unsung heroes, and really a low-flying update, as Ukrainian company UA Damage has developed a machine learning drone equipped with 4 different sensors to detect landmines using day and infrared cameras, a magnetometer, and ground-penetrating radar. These drones can survey up to 10,000 square meters per day. As such, this could have a significant impact both in improving safety for movement through active war zones and in future demining operations. But for now, their main use case is for deployment at the front lines to support immediate combat-related tasks for the AFU. Then to a quick bite of hardware-related news, with Germany announcing it will allocate 9 billion euros to Ukraine in 2025, which stands as a record for Germany's support to Ukraine for any calendar year, showing their biggest commitment to the defense of Ukraine continuing unabated. Then to a quick Russian military mobilization blunder segment. There's been plenty of these, but so much going on right now. So with this one, quickly, a Russian special military operation veteran is fuming after spotting medals like for the capture of Bakhmut, or for the liberation of Kursk, and for military bravery, which are now being sold openly in military gear stores, complete with official certificates. The medals, supposedly symbols of sacrifice, are now just another shelf item, sparking outrage among some of those who actually fought for them. But with so many popping up for sale, it's pretty clear that plenty of soldiers, or indeed the families of the fallen, aren't exactly treasuring them. Then to a super quick and disgraceful cheap shot funny to round off the video today, guys, because after Putin's visit to Belarus a couple of days ago, many took to social media to comment on how, when foreign press are allowed to photograph Putin up close, that he starts to look a bit, well, I'll just use a quote here, "The old gargoyle looks like somebody's grandmother." But hey, worry not, Putin, because I'm sure you're just mere days away from your next Botox appointment. And not really kidding about that, we'll see those shiny cheeks again soon. So that's it for today, guys. Thanks again for watching. Please continue to like, comment, subscribe. Thanks once again for all of the support, and I do hope to see all of you guys there in the next one. Cheers!